Here's the harsh truth if you're dealing with toxic people. It's not their fault. It's yours for allowing them in your life. But don't worry. I'll show you how to take back control and leave them powerless. Toxic people don't just appear randomly. They take advantage of weak boundaries and feed off how you react to them. Many people let them stay because they're afraid to face the truth. You can't fix toxic people, but you can learn how to outsmart them. In this video, I'll reveal you some brutally honest but foolproof ways to deal with toxic people. By the end, you'll realize that your peace was always in your hands. Number 1. Forgive but don't forget. Many people misunderstand forgiveness. They think that forgiving someone means you're weak, foolish, or willing to ignore the pain they caused. But real forgiveness isn't about letting them off the hook. It's about freeing yourself from the burden of anger. I learned this the hard way. I had a close friend. Let's call them Alex. We were inseparable, or so I thought. One day I trusted Alex with something deeply personal, believing they would keep my secret. But a week later, I found out they had told others and twisted the story to make me look bad. That betrayal hurt more than I can explain. I wasn't just angry at Alex, I was mad at myself for trusting them. The resentment stayed with me for months, even years. Every time I saw them or heard their name, I felt that same pain all over again. Then I came across a quote. Resentment is like drinking poison and expecting the other person to die. That hit me hard. I realized that while Alex had moved on with their life, I was the one still carrying the anger. My resentment wasn't hurting them. It was only hurting me. So I chose to forgive, but not in the way most people think. I didn't call Alex to make peace or invite them back into my life. Instead, I forgave them quietly in my heart. I let go of the anger, not for their sake, but for my own well-being. But here's the important part. I didn't forget. That experience taught me an important lesson about trust. Who to trust and who to keep at a distance. Forgiving Alex allowed me to move forward without bitterness. But remembering the betrayal made sure I wouldn't make the same mistake again. Forgiveness isn't about being weak. It's about being strong. It takes courage to let go of anger when holding on to it feels justified. It takes wisdom to understand that forgiving doesn't mean giving someone another chance to hurt you. Forgetting, however, is different. Forgetting means risking the same pain again. Think of forgiveness like healing a wound. You don't keep reopening it, but you also don't erase the scar. The scar isn't just a mark of pain. It's a reminder of what you learned. It doesn't define you, but it helps shape your future choices. The best way to take control of your emotions is to forgive, but never forget. Forgiveness is a gift to yourself. Forgetting is a mistake that can lead to more pain. Let go of resentment, hold on to the lesson, and use it to protect yourself moving forward. Number 2, limit their access. Some people don't deserve a front row seat in your life. It doesn't matter if they're family, longtime friends, or coworkers. If someone constantly disrespects you, drains your energy, or ignores your boundaries, it's time to limit their access to you. This isn't being mean, it's about protecting your peace. I used to be a people pleaser. If someone needed my time or attention, I gave it, no questions asked. I spent hours on the phone listening to a friend complain about their problems while ignoring my own struggles. I bent over backward for people who wouldn't do the same for me. Sound familiar? Then one day, after yet another exhausting conversation with someone who only called me to vent, I had a realization. Why am I doing this? What am I getting out of this relationship? That's when I understood. Not everyone deserves unlimited access to me. Here's something people don't always realize. Limiting access doesn't always mean cutting someone off completely. Sometimes it means creating invisible boundaries they don't even notice. For example, that friend who only talks about their problems, start responding with, "That sounds tough. What do you think you'll do about it?" Watch how quickly they lose interest when you stop feeding into their negativity. That family member who always criticizes you. You don't have to argue, just smile, nod, and keep your plans to yourself. When they don't have details, they can't judge your life. That coworker who loves drama, when they start gossiping, just say, "Oh, I'm not really into office drama," and walk away. They'll stop trying to involve you when they see you're not interested. Think of your life like a VIP club. You're the bouncer and not everyone gets in. The toxic people? General admission, if that. The drama makers? Watching from the parking lot. The people who genuinely value and respect you? They're in the VIP lounge with you. Setting boundaries isn't cruel, it's smart. Your time and energy are precious. Don't waste them on people who don't appreciate them. When you start valuing yourself, the right people will value you too, and the wrong ones? They'll either change or leave. Either way, you win. Number 3, use humor to disarm. Sometimes the best way to deal with toxic people is to not take them too seriously. Toxic people love tension. They want drama, arguments, and conflict. But what happens when you refuse to give them what they want? Instead of arguing, you make a joke. Instead of reacting, you smile. instead of taking them seriously, you play along just enough to throw them off. It's like popping a balloon. Suddenly, their big dramatic moment falls flat. For example, if someone tries to insult you, just laugh and say, "That was creative. Do you practice in the mirror?" If they make a sarcastic remark about your choices, just shrug and say, "Yep, I'm living my best life." If they try to bait you into an argument, smile and say, "You really want me to argue with you, don't you?" Not today. Using humor doesn't mean you're ignoring their toxicity. It means you're refusing to let them control your emotions. It's a subtle way of showing them they don't have power over you. Toxic people want you to react. They want you to fight back. But when you stay calm, laugh, and keep your peace, they lose. Using humor to handle toxic people. Using humor doesn't mean you're ignoring how serious a toxic person's behavior is. It just means you're choosing not to let their negativity pull you down. It's a smart way to show that you're strong, and that their efforts to control or belittle you don't affect you. Number 4, know when to walk away. Walking away from a toxic person is one of the hardest decisions you'll ever have to make, but it's also one of the most freeing. It's not just about getting away from a bad situation. It's about taking back your peace, your time, and your energy. But here's the thing. Walking away doesn't always happen in a big, dramatic way. Sometimes it's a quiet decision you make over and over, to choose yourself instead of their chaos. Toxic people are great at making you feel like you should stay. They'll say things like, "I'm sorry, I'll change," or try to make you feel guilty with lines like, "If you leave, you're giving up on me." And let's be real. There's always that little voice in your head that wonders if leaving makes you the bad person. But here's the truth. Staying in a relationship, whether it's a friendship, romantic relationship, or even a family bond, that constantly drains you isn't a sign of kindness. It's self-destruction. I once had a close friend who was fun and outgoing in public, but completely draining in private. Every conversation was about their problems, their needs, and their drama. If I ever tried to talk about my struggles, they'd either brush it off or turn it into a competition. "Oh, you had a bad day? Well, let me tell you about mine." At first, I kept making excuses for them. They don't mean to be like this. They're just going through a tough time. But as months turned into years, I realized I was giving everything to this friendship and getting nothing in return. Final straw came when I was going through a crisis in my own life. I reached out to them, hoping for some support. Their response? "That sounds tough, but I have my own stuff to deal with." That's when it hit me. They weren't toxic because they were trying to hurt me on purpose. They were toxic because they simply didn't care. I finally made the decision to walk away. It wasn't easy, and it hurt at first, but the moment I did, I felt like a huge weight had been lifted off my shoulders. Walking away doesn't always mean completely cutting someone out of your life. It can mean slowly pulling back, answering fewer calls, responding to fewer texts, and letting them fade into the background. Setting boundaries is another way to step back. Saying things like, "I'm not available to talk about this right now," or "I can't help you with that anymore," is a clear but respectful way to create distance. Emotional detachment is also key. Even if you still see or talk to them occasionally, you stop letting their words and actions affect you. Here's the tricky part. Sometimes, walking away means stepping back from someone that society expects you to stay close to, like a family member. A lot of people believe that just because someone is related to you, you have to keep them in your life, no matter what. But that idea is outdated and harmful. Being family doesn't give someone a free pass to manipulate, hurt, or drain you. Walking away doesn't mean you hate them. It just means you're choosing to protect yourself. Here's the deeper message. Walking away isn't an act of anger, it's an act of self-love. It's choosing to prioritize your own well-being and the kind of life you want to live. It's saying, "I deserve relationships that make me feel good, not ones that tear me down." And here's the most powerful part. When you finally walk away, you'll realize that you weren't just walking away from them. You were walking toward a happier and healthier version of yourself. Leaving a toxic person behind doesn't mean you failed or gave up. It actually means you succeeded in recognizing your worth. Toxic people have a way of making you feel like you're always too much, not enough, or somehow to blame. But the moment you step away, you'll see the truth. It was never about you. It was always about them. And the best part? Walking away makes room for people who truly value and respect you. Number 5. Surround yourself with positive people. Being around toxic people is like trying to swim with heavy weights tied to your ankles. Their negativity, manipulation, and drama pull you down constantly. The best way to fight this? Surround yourself with people who lift you up. Positive, uplifting people don't just make you feel good. They remind you of your worth, encourage you to grow, and help keep toxic energy out of your life. Here's a simple truth. The people you spend time with shape who you are. If you're constantly surrounded by toxic individuals, Their negativity will start rubbing off on you, whether you realize it or not. But when you surround yourself with kind, supportive, and encouraging people, something amazing happens. You start seeing the best in yourself too. Think about this. Have you ever had a friend who makes you feel lighter after spending time with them? Someone who listens to you without judging, celebrates your successes without jealousy, and challenges you in a way that feels inspiring rather than discouraging? Those are the people you need to seek out. I remember a time in my life when I was stuck in toxic friendships. Then one day, I met a new colleague who was refreshingly kind and positive. They would say things like, "You're really good at this, why don't you take the lead?" Or "You handled that so well." Their encouragement felt so genuine that it actually surprised me. Over time, I realized that I had gotten so used to being around people who made backhanded compliments or subtle insults that I had forgotten what real support felt like. Spending more time with uplifting people changed everything. They didn't compete, criticize, or manipulate. Instead, they inspired me to believe in myself and to set higher standards for the relationships I allowed into my life. How to find uplifting people. Find your tribe. Look for people who inspire, support, and uplift you. These could be old friends, mentors, or even new people you meet along the way. Focus on quality over quantity. It's better to have a few deep, meaningful connections than a large group of shallow friendships. Be the kind of friend you want. Relationships work both ways. If you want uplifting people in your life, be someone who listens, supports, and encourages others as well. Now here's the difficult part. Sometimes surrounding yourself with positive people means distancing yourself from those who don't. Lift you up, even if you've known them for years. Loyalty is important, but it's not worth sacrificing your peace of mind for someone who consistently drains you. The deeper message is this. Uplifting people don't just make life more enjoyable. They remind you that you deserve kindness, respect, and real, meaningful connections. They help you become the best version of yourself just by believing in you and supporting your potential. Here's the truth. Toxic people will try to convince you that the world is full of selfish, bitter, and manipulative people just like them. But positive people show you a different reality. They remind you that true kindness, respect, and love still exist. And once you experience that, you'll wonder why you ever settled for less. Number 6. Don't play their games. At first, I used to try to explain myself or defend my choices when dealing with a toxic person. But no matter what I said, things only got worse. They twisted my words, made the argument bigger than it needed to be, and somehow I always ended up looking like the bad guy. One day, I decided to stop reacting the way they wanted me to. When they made a rude comment, I simply smiled and said, "You're allowed to have your opinion," then changed the subject. They tried again, but I stayed calm and didn't argue. I could see they were frustrated. They weren't getting the reaction they wanted. Over time, they stopped bothering me because I refused to give them what they wanted. Drama. Not engaging with toxic people doesn't mean you're weak. It means you're smart. Here's how you can do it too. Notice when they are trying to get a reaction from you. Pay attention to what they do to make you upset. Once you recognize their tricks, you can prepare yourself to respond differently. Stay calm. Toxic people want you to lose your temper. If you keep your cool, they lose their power over you. Give short, simple responses, or say nothing at all. Sometimes silence is the best response. Other times, a neutral phrase like, "That's interesting," or "I see," can shut them down. Set clear boundaries. Let them know you won't argue or entertain their negativity. Say things like, "I'm not going to discuss this," or "We can talk when you're ready to have a respectful conversation." The controversial part. When you stop engaging with toxic people, they might say you're being rude, distant, or even weak. But that's just their way of trying to pull you back into the argument. Don't let their opinions control you. The deeper message. This is about control. Your control. By refusing to play their games, you take back your power. You don't owe your time or energy to anyone who thrives on negativity. Life is too short to waste on pointless arguments or mind games. When you step back, you're not running away. You're rising above the drama. And by doing that, you're choosing peace over stress, clarity over confusion, and power over manipulation. That's a win every time. Number 7. Stay focused on your goals. Toxic people love distractions. They want to pull you into their problems, their chaos, and their unnecessary drama. It's almost like they want to make their issues your responsibility. But when you stay focused on your own goals, your dreams, your values, and the life you want, their negativity starts to fade into the background. Staying focused isn't just a way to protect yourself, it's a power move. Toxic people want you to lose sight of what's important. They'll criticize your dreams, make fun of your achievements, or demand your attention at the worst times. Why? Because when you're focused and growing, you become harder for them to control. If you're busy chasing your goals, you won't have time for their nonsense. I once had a coworker who was the definition of toxic. They gossiped about others, stirred up drama, and constantly tried to get people involved in their problems. At first, I got caught up in it. I spent hours listening to their complaints or defending myself against their passive-aggressive remarks. But then I had a realization. Every minute I spent dealing with their drama was a minute I wasn't spending on my own success. So I made a choice. I would focus on my own goals and let them create chaos without me. I set strong boundaries. I'm really busy right now, I can't talk about this. I avoided unnecessary conversations and put my energy into doing my best work. The more I stayed focused, the less control they had over me. And the best part? Others noticed and started doing the same, leaving the toxic person with no one to manipulate. How to stay focused on your goals. Be clear about what you want. Write down your goals and remind yourself why they matter. When you keep your purpose in mind, toxic distractions lose their power over you. Treat toxic people like background noise. You might not be able to avoid them completely, but you can choose not to let their negativity affect you. Say no without feeling guilty. If something doesn't help you move forward, don't waste your time on it. Surround yourself with inspiration. Spend time with people, books, and activities that push you toward your goals. The hard part. Sometimes staying focused on your goals means putting yourself first, even if it means distancing yourself from friends or family, members who don't support you. Some people may call you selfish, but that's not true. Taking care of your own future isn't selfish, it's necessary. The deeper message. Staying focused isn't just about avoiding toxic people. It's about valuing yourself. It's a way of saying, my time and energy matter too much to waste on negativity. Toxic people may try to pull you away from your dreams, but if you stay committed, their influence will fade. And the best part, as you work toward your goals, their drama becomes irrelevant. At that point, you're not just avoiding toxic people, you're thriving in spite of them. And that's the ultimate victory. Number 8. Don't gossip about toxic people. Talking about toxic people behind their backs might feel satisfying in the moment. It can seem like a harmless way to vent or get back at them. But here's the truth. Gossip never helps. It keeps their negativity alive in your mind, makes you act like them, and worst of all, gives them free power over your emotions. Toxic people love attention, even negative attention. Gossiping about them only keeps the drama going and keeps you involved in their chaos. Instead of taking control of your life, you end up stuck in the same toxic cycle. How to avoid gossiping about toxic people? Vent in a healthy way. If you need to talk about your frustrations, do it with someone who won't encourage gossip, like a mentor, therapist, or close friend. Stick to the facts. If you must discuss them, focus on what actually happened instead of throwing insults. Change the subject. If people around you start gossiping, steer the conversation towards something more positive. Focus on solutions. Instead of dwelling on their behavior, use your energy to move forward and protect your peace. Try to understand them. This doesn't mean you excuse their actions, but realizing that toxic people often act out of their own pain can help you rise above the drama. The hard part. Avoiding gossip might make you feel like an outsider, especially when venting about others seems so common. Some people may even think you're being too nice. But the truth is, staying out of gossip isn't about being too nice. It's about being smart. Gossip keeps you tied to negativity. Letting it go sets you free. The bigger picture. By refusing to gossip, you break the cycle of negativity. You show yourself and others that you won't let someone else's bad behavior control your actions. Toxic people thrive on chaos, and gossip is part of that chaos. By refusing to take part, you take away their power and protect your own peace. Final thoughts. You can't control toxic people, but you can control how you react to them. Your time and energy are valuable. You have dreams to chase, goals to achieve, and a life to enjoy. Don't let someone else's negativity distract you from that. Stand your ground, protect your peace, and keep moving forward.